Welcome again today to another episode of the debate room. The debate room where we will be talking about the Red Bull. Why are we going to be talking about the Red Bull? Well, as you might know, if you have been following the news for some time, there are news that say something quite interesting. First of all, let's start from the beginning of the whole story. You know, Alpha Tauri was for sale for some time already. That was at the beginning of the year, where they saw that perhaps maintaining this team that cost money, they were trying to make it self-sufficient, but it didn't work. It didn't work out at all. As you can see, Alpha Tauri was one of the last teams at the beginning of the season. Now, looks like they are improving a little bit, right? But what is happening? Looks like there might be a change of plans for the immediate future. Immediate future starting next year. Next year, where we can actually see a Red Bull B. Or these are the rumors, what they say, right? This is the car, the RB19, the car that is destroying the opposition, despite that they do not have a lot of improvements. They don't have as much as wind tunnel time and those things that they got for as a penalty for the cost cap breaking, right? So this is the car that is destroying the competition. A car, like I said, it's not developing a lot, and they already dropped the development for this year. So what is the situation with this car? Well, the thing is gonna be like in 2-3 years, Honda is gonna be leaving the team. It has been announced that Honda will be extending the support to Red Bull for until 2025, until the end, looks like, for the Red Bull powertrains, right? So what's going to happen after that? Well, Red Bull will have to evolve into something like this, Red Bull Ford, right? I don't think this is going to be delivery, but anyway, it's just a concept. This is the change number one that is happening in Red Bull. It's going to be changing to Ford, and let's see how this is going to be, because the power units are going to be completely different. The batteries and stuff are going to be way more important. We also saw that Alpha Tauri is going to be having some changes according to that. Franz Tost, which is quite old, let's face it, and he has done some good job with, according to me, good job with the Alpha Tauri, considering the budget and everything that they have, the difficulties, right? Up until now. But so what made Red Bull want to change the whole thing? Well, number one is the sharing of not just the engine, but also the engineering. They will give them what they say is that they will give them the whole RB19, not whole, but they will give them a hint of the car, right? The aero parts, the power unit, gearbox, and the suspensions and all this, they will share it with Alpha Tauri. But it's not going to be called Alpha Tauri either, no? Getting the Mekis, the one that we had here, Mekis, we also will have the livery changing. Not this one, of course. But the rumor is that it will be Hugo Boss. Or Boss, or however you want to call it. They're selling the title of the team, not the team itself. They will sell the title, and then they will share the knowledge of the team to have a competitive car, two competitive cars, right? So if Hugo Boss gets as a title sponsor, and they have the RB19, not the RB20, of course, then they will have a car that will be capable, perhaps, of making podiums, at least. I mean, let's face it. Does anybody think that somebody is going to be able to challenge the car from this year with the following year's evolutions? It's a continuation of the rules of this year. So this is, again, a concept of how it might look like. I don't think it's going to be like this. But anyway, some fan people doing this. And this car is going to destroy everybody else as well. Ferraris, Aston Martins, Mercedes, McLarens. This car is so superior. It's going to win every single race of the season unless something happens. And the only car that was able to kind of challenge to that idea was the McLaren in the 88 was it? 89, something like this. Where the only reason why they didn't win every single race was because Senna, when I think it was like 3 laps remaining for the end, had a crash with a lapped driver, and he got out of the race when he was going to win. That's the only other car that tried to challenge the record of winning every single race in one season. So this car is gonna win the whole thing, right? So if this car is gonna be the Alpha Tauri of next year, well, for number one, for sure, Daniel Ricciardo will stay in the team with Yuki Tsunoda, and then we will see what these two drivers are capable of. The brakes of the Alpha Tauri apparently are really bad, something that Daniel Ricciardo is really good with, but if he cannot use it, then it's one of his strengths, right? We will see how good Yuki Tsunoda is. We know Daniel Ricciardo is good, but is he back? So we will be able to see that. On the other hand, we might have some complications, right? Other teams might complain because Red Bull has 2 teams. All the other teams only have 1 team, 2 cars instead of 4, right? And we are seeing already, for example, in MotoGP what is happening. You have 8 Ducatis, and in the top 10 you have 6 of them. So it's not good, especially when you have such a superior car like this one. Is it going to be something like this, where you will see small differences in the car? Of course, they will give them the 2023 car, and the 2024 will be an evolution, but AlphaTauri will not have this evolution. They will have to make it slightly different, so it doesn't look like it's a copy, even though everybody knows it's a copy. So, is this good? Is this fair? All the other teams should complain about this, right? One thing, on one side, it's good because you will have another car fighting for stuff. If the RB20 is going to be just an evolution, it's not going to be such a big difference between the Red Bull and the Alpha Tauri, right? So that means that you will have 4 cars trying to fight for victories instead of only 1, like you have now with Max Verstappen, right? The bad thing is that you will have 4 Red Bulls fighting for the victories. Of course, if I were Ferrari or Mercedes, I would complain. You don't have this. You cannot do this, right? And we already saw that this concept actually was also used in a similar way between Red Bull and Toro Rosso in the year 2007, if I am not mistaken, after Adrian Newey came to the Red Bull family from McLaren, right? He was there 2005 or 6, and then in 2007 you can actually start seeing his work of art. That looks kind of similar to the McLaren for the 2005, by the way. But anyway, so if the Alpha Tauri has this, it could be a motive of complaint, right? For example, we saw with the Racing Point that it was a copy of the Mercedes. Let's face it. This is the previous car until they copied the one from Mercedes. They copied the car, and Mercedes, of course, maybe was not very happy with it, but for sure all the other competition were not happy with it because it was a Mercedes B. It was a B team with exactly the same car, and they jumped from being at the back to being in the front, challenging not the Mercedes but all the other teams that were there fighting for the podiums, right? Including the Red Bulls in some cases. So of course, Alpine, Ferrari, all these complained because it was not there. It was a copy, whatever. It happened something similar with the Aston Martin quite shortly with the Dan Fellow thing changing to from Red Bull to Aston Martin. They said copy from Red Bull. Red Bull complained, and it was demonstrated that Aston Martin was doing this already in the wind tunnel for some time, right? I don't know. I mean, this is the Toro Rosso from the 2007. You can see that the Red Bull, look at this. The nose is more or less the same thing. Look at all these appendixes here. The winglets, all these tunnels and stuff, the rear wing. It's exactly the same as in the Red Bull. The shape of the car, it's exactly the same as in the Red Bull. And this is the season. Sorry, now you saw the other part. But this is the season where actually Toro Rosso was doing quite well. Even though I think they had a different engine, Toro Rosso was running Ferraris and the Red Bulls were running with Renaults. But you can see the point, right? I mean, it's not fair for everybody else to be sharing information between one team and the other and have 4 cars with more or less the same car. F1 should be about constructing your own team. Of course, you should be able to share others other than the engine. Perhaps engine and gearbox, engine, I don't know, suspensions, whatever, because it works very well with the engine, right? But all the rest of the team, building the chassis, the packages and stuff, it should be made by everybody. It has been like this for I don't know how long. The reason why they are doing this, I understand it. It's because they are trying to bring new teams into the competition, right? We saw, for example, about what I say, sharing the gearbox and stuff. That Sauber, for example, had a very good deal with Ferrari, where they were sharing the gearbox, the suspensions, the engine before. It was that, but Sauber still did their own stuff. Of course, the deal was to share the thing from the previous years, right? So you cannot challenge the main team. We saw Haas when they came into F1. The only condition that they put is that they could purchase stuff from Ferrari. And what happened? They went to Australia, and the first race, they were in the P5 and P6, if I'm not mistaken. Then, when they had to evolve everything by themselves, or develop, they went back and back and back. I mean, there are many examples of this sharing. My idea is that it should not happen. It should not happen because you are destroying the whole purpose of the F1 thing. Again, each team should design their own stuff. Simple as that. This is the competition. It's not a driver competition, it's a constructor's competition. You need to build your car. You can get the engine, you can get other stuff, but still you need to build and design your own car. This is how F1 started. I don't know. I mean, if Red Bull does this and, for example, Andretti comes in as 11th team, perhaps Ferrari or Mercedes, or including Alpine, if they still survive, would be perhaps interested in getting some deal with them to have a B team with them, right? Because be certain that if Andretti comes into the F1, they will purchase most of the cars from somebody. Could be Mercedes, could be Alpine, who knows? And there is rumors already saying that the Alpine might be willing to sell their team and provide only the engines. And to Andretti, perhaps instead of being the 11th team, could be just the 10th team, and they could just take everything from the Alpines, right? I don't know. I mean, this is just my own opinion. It would be nice to see more cars fighting for victories, but seeing how it is and Red Bull being so superior in everything, then comparing with the other teams, then I don't know. I really hope it's not entirely. I mean, part of it hopes that yes, to see more cars there, but I prefer not. I hope they just perhaps increase the budget of Alpha Tauri or Hugo Boss Tauri or however they want to call it next year. Just increase the budget so they can hire better staff and improve their factories and stuff. Start from there. I don't know. They should have done this a long time ago. Making such a small team. Let's not forget, Alpha Tauri or Toro Rosso was Minardi. Minardi was one of the poorest teams in the grid. They bought the team, they copied the Red Bull like I showed before in the 2007, and then they started to have decent results. Until in the year 2010 or 12, something like this, they started to try to make the team be itself and independent, and that's when the team started to go back, right? Selling the team, looks like they don't want to sell the team, they want to sell the title of the team, like a marketing strategy. Like if you see Hugo Boss Racing, Hugo Boss, in one of the major sports of the world, F1, right, is there, they will have a huge impact in their sales, I'm gonna guess. Another team that is another sponsor also that is trying to perhaps be negotiating is Orlen, which already sponsors them. I don't know. I mean, with the cost cap and everything, we will see what happens. This is just rumors, of course, but just giving our opinion. The debate room, of course. Feel free to see any more videos. Do leave your comments on what do you think about this. Are you Are you supporting Red Bull's decision to just share everything with a junior team so they can have a decent car? Let's not forget, by the way, I'm saying that having a decent car, the Alpha Tauri team, or however it's gonna call it next year, is the B team, is the junior team. It's for the young drivers to be able to show what they are capable of, right? How can you know how good Tsunoda is if you don't know how good the car is, right? If you have a car that can fight for victories, then you know if Tsunoda is capable of winning races or not. Same like Ricardo, same like, I don't know, Liam Lawson, if he's there at some point in the Alpha Tauri, right? If Perez is out of the team, which I'm starting to think about it. If Perez is out of the team and Ricardo goes to Red Bull, Liam Lawson will be in the Alpha Tauri. How do you know if Liam Lawson is good enough when all they can do is fight for P15, right? However, if you can have a car that can fight for P3, P2s, P1s, P4s, and they cannot perform, then you know that the driver is not good. So, anyway, this is just my opinion as per usual in the debate. Stay tuned, I will be making more videos. And see you next time.